This is the Palin Update on Mama Grizzly Radio. I'm Kevin Scholla in the new Full Battle Rattle studios.
And you know that united is the only way that we will stand. Women of America can and must unite in order to save a nation.
She was on stage in Vegas right before the massacre took place. Thankfully, she is with us and okay, at least physically. Our wonderful friend, Kaya Jones, joins us for the first time since the Las Vegas attack. She's here to talk about that. Plus, the former Pussycat Doll weighs in on Hollywood and much more. And if Governor Palin is our Mama Grizzly, Kaya Jones just might be our Lady Lion. We'll explain. Kaya Jones is up next. Plus, we'll have the latest national and Alaska headlines and Sarah Palin news. We'll visit the Crow's Nest with Tanya Crow in California, and a brand new installment of Liberty and Legacy with Tamara Kolbert is coming up from Texas. Welcome to the Palin Update on Mama Grizzly Radio, available at mamagrizzlyradio.com and now available at sarahpalin.com by clicking the More tab. The Palin Update is sponsored by Full Battle Rattle. Full Battle Rattle, helping veterans suffering from combat-related disabilities through the healing power of music. Learn more at facebook.com/FullBattleRattleABQ. The massacre in Las Vegas shook us all, but our guest today was particularly shaken. Kaya Jones was on stage just before the mayhem started. Today, our friend Kaya Jones is here to discuss that night and also to talk about her Christian faith, our amazing president, Colin Kaepernick, and much more. And now we welcome Kaya Jones back to the Palin Update on Mama Grizzly Radio. Kaya, thanks for joining us again. How are you?
I'm good, Kevin. How are you?
Doing well, and so awesome to talk to you. Always is, but you know, in particular this time, and we've talked since then, but we haven't talked on the air since Vegas. And, you know, as a matter of fact, this past weekend at my church, our pastor brought it up about a story regarding that. And, you know, look, this is chilling and awful for everybody, but when you know somebody who was on stage right before it happened, or when you are that person, I mean, this takes it to a whole nother level. So, you know, we've gone over this. You've been everywhere talking about it here and there. But first of all, we're so thankful you're okay physically. And
thank you.
And are you okay now? And just what was that like?
Yeah, you know, I don't think anyone who was there, or anyone that was connected in some way, and even people that live in Vegas, I don't think we're okay. I think it jolts the system of the community. You know, I'm forever changed. There's no way to not be changed. I mean, you know, 58 people lost their lives that night, and over 400 plus that, you know, are affected for the rest of their lives with, you know, wounds and with things that they have to deal with. So I think it's definitely something that's not just a throwaway situation. It comes to healing, and I think time can heal, but you know, situational awareness now is a high point for me, and being highly aware all the time, and you know, making sure I have my CCW, making sure that I understand the laws and the rules and all of those things, and just trying to, you know, stay more aware as best as I can.
And we had friends of the show, you know, in the hotel at the time and, you know, in the city at the time. But, I mean, you were certainly closest to all this, and obviously you're one of our favorites. So, again, happy that you're okay physically, and we know that everything's going to get stronger and stronger from the other side as we keep going. But, you know,
I appreciate that.
Again, great to have you as always. But so I also want to talk to you about it. Well, first of all, what you just mentioned, I mean, here you are now taking classes on the heels of this. Why'd you find that an important thing to do, and how's it going?
It's going great. I also did a really awesome, you know, empowered course with, you know, I don't know if you know Dom Rosso and, you know, Amy Robbins and Antonia Okafor, but a lot of the different NRA people, we decided to go ahead and, you know, come together with a bunch of different women and take a kind of female empowerment course on situational awareness, on tactical training, on self-defense, also, and, you know, carry, conceal, and all of the different ways that you can protect yourself if you're put into a situation. And I've also had death threats since the Vegas attack. So that has kind of just put me on high for sure. I'm actually currently at the range. You can probably hear a little bit in the background.
It's a nice sound.
But yeah, of course.
The good guy shooting is always a nice sound.
Yeah, it's always a good. Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah. So it's been eye opening for me. But you know what? At the end of the day, it's just to educate. When we educate ourselves on how to be able to protect ourselves, and more importantly, on how to be able to read situations, just so that you keep a level of understanding and you realize that. When we have attacks like this, the war isn't away. This isn't when I was in Afghanistan, or you're not in Afghanistan, but in Iraq or in Kuwait or any of those places, that's a different situation when you go for the military to perform versus, this is my hometown that became a war zone that night. So I'm enjoying the process of learning, but by no means was this something I ever thought I would enjoy having to do or being forced into having to do. Not at all, no.
And it's a shame to even use this term, but the latest death threats are about what?
To publicly behead me in America, be the first beheading on Sharia law.
Because of your outspokenness.
My outspokenness, my conservative belief, my Christian belief. So death threats have come in all forms. Where FBI is having to get involved, and it's serious. But you know what? We do the best we can, and I'm not going to stop for anything. I mean, God has put me on this journey, and I believe wholeheartedly that He has me protected. So when it's His time for me to go, it's His time for me to go, and until then, I'm going to keep doing His work here.
I don't know if this has something to do with Vegas, or maybe because what you've been through otherwise with these crazies, or what you just mentioned. But I mean, you've never not been outspoken. That's why we like you so much. You're in that Palin Trump camp, and that's why again, it's so refreshing. But I've noticed from you, not so much toward me, but social media wise and otherwise, you seem even more outspoken lately. Is that? Do you feel that too? Because you're not pulling punches, and it's great.
No, you know what? They're just Vegas did a lot to, I think, jolt my system. 58 people lost their lives. I could have been one of those 58. John Rich could have been one of those 58.
Yeah.
Big Kenny. Jason Aldean, any of the entertainers, any of the people there.
Unbelievable.
So it's imperative on what we do with our lives. And for me, 8 days after the, event, having my old band owner of the Pussycat Dolls, release a press release that went to Cosmopolitan that I was joining the girl group and we were coming back with a reunion due to the fact that my name was in the press from the massacre. I really just lost my lid on that. And I just thought, you know what? I'm going to start speaking out, and people need to know the truth about the entertainment business and what I've endured and what countless others have endured with pedophilia and with abuse, sexual abuse, mental abuse, verbal abuse, even financial abuse on what we get paid. And I just felt that it was now imperative that I start really following my message from the Lord and focusing on how I can help others and focusing on how we can empower young women and young boys and protect ourselves more importantly. So that's kind of what we've been working on now is John Rosso, Amy Robbins, myself, and Antonio Okafor are thinking, like, how can we do more with, Dynamis Alliance, which is Dom's company, that trains and tactical training and situational awareness and how to empower young girls to not put themselves in those situations. And then if they are put in those situations, how do they fight back? Or how do young men understand how to protect women better and just being more of a unit in the community? So, yeah, I mean, I now want to be more spoken out than ever because I'm alive and 58 people aren't. And if they were here and I wasn't, I think a couple of them, if not all of them, would do the same.
Well, the things that are coming out of Hollywood, I mean, we've talked about these things before, and when I say we, I mean you, me, others that we know, and people have known things, but the way this is just coming out each and every day now, it's horrible, but it's so great that people are able to speak now and feel that they can, on the heels of Weinstein and the whole list goes on and on and on, and the things that Corey Feldman's doing in order to shine light on all of this. and you've now talked about personal things that you've been through.
Kind of like for training.
Oh yeah, I mean that's the whole thing is that it's a big, now we're a fist, we're not fingers, and so that's important is that we keep this discussion going because you're not alone, and this is going on in homes across the world where people are being abused, and so if us as entertainers who have a loud microphone, if we can't stand up and say, this happened with a coworker, this happened with a boss, how do you expect to inspire very young children that look up to you that are in a situation that they don't know who to tell, they don't have the strength? It's imperative that we speak up and speak out. I spoke up, the other day because of Nick Carter, my ex that I was with while I was in the Pussycat Dolls. He knew about the abuse I endured. He also was very controlling and abusive himself. So, going through all of those things and then understanding how can I better, with these women that are coming out with these allegations who are now being attacked with, that they're lying and all of this. It's like, well, 4 women have now come forward. I've heard there's 3 more that are set to come forward.
Yeah.
So I think it's important we do continue this dialogue because if we don't, we're just fingers. And if we stay as a community and we keep shining the light, we start to bring awareness. And that makes predators scared because, hey, you might be on camera. Hey, you might get caught.
And yet some people are still so, I don't know, this worship of Hollywood or in awe or just don't want to see. I mean, you were attacked for the Nick Carter comments.
I was. But, it's okay. I'm accustomed to being attacked. I kind of get, when we pick a job that we're outspoken and especially, going into commentary, you understand that sometimes shining the light, not everyone's going to love what you have to say, but that's not what it's about. It's about the people that do understand what you're saying and you connect with, and they can attack me. A lot of them are fans. It's one thing to be a fan and see a pretty shiny object in front of you that you think, caution, this isn't a lie. I'm a part of that world, and to me, celebrity or money does not equate your spirit or your values. I left that person for a reason. So if fans want to stand up for their, favorite celebrity, I get it. I totally do. But, the proof is in the pudding, and I have known that person a long time. I was with that person for 2.5 years. So I have all confidence that, the truth will come out. And when it does, I feel that I have a better judgment because I was with that person, living with that individual, rather than someone who doesn't know who that person is, but just because they don't like what you're saying, jumps in on the thought process. So it comes with the territory. I'm a conservative, you are too, and part of talking about God and values and country and, faith and unity right now in our country is a big, we have Colin Kaepernick who's, doing an unthanksgiving day and all of these things. I mean, the guy has single-handedly ruined the NFL. It's insane.
Congratulations,
it's insane.
Colin.
Yeah, you've ruined a sport that was a really big deal to Americans, and it's put a bad taste in everyone's mouth.
Quickly on that, and I appreciate you speaking up on that too. I know you've had involvement in the NFL with singing and whatnot. Listen, for 25 years plus, if someone said to me, "What's your favorite sport?" immediately the NFL was my answer. It wasn't even close. And I have not.
I have
watched,
a new one now.
Yeah.
I've not watched either. My new sport's hockey.
And I have not watched for weeks. And let me tell you something. It's like how I haven't gone to Target in 2 years. I don't miss it. This is the first Thanksgiving in my life that no NFL football was watched. And I feel bad for my kids because, they're not getting the NFL experience that, I had it, and maybe they will again. But, we've been watching college, and we've been watching hockey, and we've been watching basketball, and baseball was amazing. And,
baseball's been great.
And you know
baseball's been great.
Yeah, well, I mean, to get any better than, having one night Houston police officers singing the anthem, or God Bless America, and then the next night having the Los Angeles ones do it. You got to love that. But
the anthem is a big thing, so it's important, and it's beautiful when we have that. Yeah.
But I want people to know, try it. You actually, I took my kids to go play hockey last NFL Sunday, and you know what? Everybody was fine after. We watched the college games the day before, Alabama and Auburn, and everybody was happy and got their football fix in. So you can do it, folks. Try it. It's like saying Merry Christmas. Just try it.
Yeah, you know what it is, Kevin? It comes down to, we have power in our dollars. Money equates power, and so money is speech. So when you support something that doesn't speak for you or is speaking against you, that really says a lot. And so I think that's what's happening, and it's really nice to see that, hey, everything is replaceable. No one is not non-replaceable. Every position in a job and everything that you could never think would be torn down can be. I really do hope that when it comes to football, that they have a pivot and they have a turn, but they'd have to do the right thing, because it's put such a bad taste in so many Americans' mouths that, once you do that, it's kind of like, bye. Yeah. You don't need a second chance. Why a second chance? I mean, this has been going on for 2 years.
You said it perfectly. It's just this bad taste. The Bears, my team, the Bears, they haven't kneeled. No one has kneeled in 2 years. They are one of only 3 or 4. That said, I still have it because the team they're playing is doing it, or because though they're not doing it, they're not exactly bashing those that do. So it's that, it's like the whole Mike Vick thing when he was electrocuting and shooting and hanging and drowning dogs. Not only did NFL,
that was sick.
NFL players either spoke out for him or they were silent. And to me,
but that we've seen that they've gotten so much glory even in high schools. I mean, where their grades are not performing well, and we make excuses up for these boys because they're really, really talented. And I think it's time that we really do have a pillar of hope and, values, that if you're an athlete, you make good grades and you make the right decisions. You are a pillar in the community, not just a celebrity. You're a pillar in the community. It's a big deal. There's a lot of, just like if you're a police officer, it's a big deal. There's a lot of pressure. So you got to rise up. You got to know that comes with, as Spider-Man would say, with great power comes great responsibility. I mean, it is that kind of thing. You have a very big, powerful platform. You need to be responsible. There are people watching, not the time or the place, especially when ticket holders, some of them are Gold Star families, or their mother was wounded and can't stand. And, there you are just making a mockery of this. And the worst part is they don't all agree on why they're kneeling.
No.
Now, if they could actually agree, or they actually knew why they were kneeling.
Right.
But like you ask one and it's like, well, it's for, brutality.
Yep.
You ask another and it's for, unfair rights and equality. And you're like, okay, well, which one is it? And I'm sure there's like 25 other things, but there's not a honing in on, why are you all kneeling?
And there's a police officer right next to you that's protecting you, that if you really are protesting him, you can kneel at him, not at a flag. So,
well, it's just atrocious. It really, really is.
And if you're a basketball player and get saved from 10 years of prison in China, please thank the president. Kaya Jones, I love what you just said before. You said, I'm accustomed to being attacked. I said that could be the description of all of our guests on this program.
Well, I think we have to prepare for it, right? We have to prepare. We knew that winning was a big deal for us. I think that the other side is now starting to understand what that means. That means that he's our president, end of discussion. He's our president, end of discussion. And he will be our president for another term. They're not understanding that. And so this is why all of this insanity is being dragged up, is because they're being sore losers.
Yeah.
Swallow the situation.
Yeah.
I didn't love Obama, but you know what? He was our president. Respect the president. Do not disregard it. Do not, belittle the first family. I mean, I never did that, even though I didn't like that president. I still had to respect. He is our president. Have some couth in class, guys. Like, they're just turning this into like a hosh-mosh of crazy. They're about to lose, their whole situation, because it's just coming out, with the dossier and with everything. And, Donna Brazile and her things that are coming. I'm like, you couldn't even write this stuff. This is like a Jason Bourne movie. I'm like, what is happening?
Is smelling like a rose, as so he should, because he stuck to his guns. He remained honest. And you look at the pigs,
he's awesome.
the pigs in Hollywood, the liars in Washington, and the punks everywhere else. And here
he's
is.
He's draining America. He's doing a great job even further. I think he's draining the world. He's draining the planet of a lot of negative.
You got it. This whole Hollywood thing, this whole NFL thing, sure, Trump's not doing it, but it's because of the movement of us and the president of why it's happening, because people go, wait, I could, the fact that I'm hearing all this Christmas music everywhere I go now,
I know.
It is not a mistake, and it has to do with our president.
Well, you know what it is? We put him there, and then he gave the country back to us.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
And, you and I were never scared. We talked with them, but other people were, and now they're like, oh, wait, I can speak up too? Okay. Listen, this is Mama Grizzly Radio. Sarah Palin's the Mama Grizzly, but we got to call you maybe Mama Lion now. You have this great picture, couple of pictures on social media, and if people haven't seen it, you follow Kaya on Twitter, at Kaya Jones. Who's the lion friend?
The lion, actually, that was in a tour that I did in Africa, and it's an open sanctuary, so they're enclosed, but it's built so wide and spread out that they think they're actually still in the wild, which is really humane.
Yeah.
And so, me and him just had a really intense moment. We just and I was in a car. That's actually the van that I was in. It wasn't like he was in a crate. And to be honest,
he was free. He was free. You were in the crate.
He was free. I was the one in the cage. Yeah. But I will tell you this. He looked into my spirit, and I just felt so connected with God in that moment, because he looked right through me. And at the same time, I looked right to him, like he knew I would never hurt him, and I knew he would never hurt me. It was a very interesting bond, but that was a magical moment. I'm glad that we were able to get it all on camera, that my mom was taking pictures at the time.
That's so amazing. See, and we like you for your love of animals too, so.
Got to. If someone doesn't like an animal, should check the person. It might not be the animal, it might be them.
That's you and my son would get along. He's 6 and he acts like a 6-year-old. He wants to, he's Mr. Tough Guy. He's the dirtiest. He's got to, he wants to wrestle everybody, this and that. You say one thing or do one thing to an animal, oh my goodness, this guy becomes Batman in a second. So
because if you could hurt a child or an animal, then you are a soulless human being. So that's kind of, that's really the reason when the death threats started coming in, was after the church shooting in Texas, because I posted about being a light in this world and not allowing the dark to bleed into what we do. Don't allow it. And that's when the death threats came in, is because, I went, Christian to my faith, because to do what that man did is nothing but prime evil. That's not mental illness. That's not more guns. That's prime evil at the core, and that's why we need faith in schools again. We need religion in households again. We need prayer, and I'm going to just keep doing that until we have millions and millions and millions of Americans shining their light and their prayer and being able to connect, because we're stronger together. We know that.
It's amazing that you said that. It's almost as if we wrote this, because we started off, I told you about my pastor brought up Vegas, and that is why he brought it up. It was people saying, well, if this is evil, which is what the guy did, then why did God create evil? And what he was explaining to us is evil's not a thing. What evil is the absence of good. And the absence of good.
The absence of God.
God is good always. Yeah. And the evil isn't from God; it's from this guy and from godlessness. And that was what the whole sermon was about. So it was like you were with us, guy. See that?
Well, you know what? Greater is He that's in us, right?
That's it.
I think if he's within us, we all think like that. We all understand what that means, and we also know that we can. We're like-minded, and we need to keep doing His work. And as long as we do, He's going to have our back and protect us, which is why I'm not worried at all.
Well, it's always great to have you here. And again, keep it up. Keep speaking out.
Thank you,
are welcome here always and any time. And we'll talk to you soon, I hope. And Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Be sure to visit KayaJones.com for more. That's KAYA Jones.com. Now it's time for Sarah Palin news headlines and more about Governor Palin. They nailed it. Democrats should do themselves a favor and keep quiet. A screw officially loose now for Hillary Clinton. Shots fired. Sarah Sanders is on fire when dealing with reporters. Fox News bans Gene Simmons for life. Does this make a lick of sense? Is this PC run amok again? And our friend Juanita Broaddrick makes a bold decision. To see any of the governor's posts in their entirety and to read her devotionals, visit Sarah Palin's Facebook page, follow her on Twitter at Sarah Palin USA, visit sarahpalin.com, and now you can check out the governor on Instagram at sarahpalin97. Now let's head to the crow's nest. Here's Tanya Crow.
Thanks, Kevin. So there is just way too much news to keep up with. So I thought I would just take a look at a very specific topic of perception. You know, as human beings, we perceive everything very individualistically, which is amazing, you know. I mean, that's what makes life interesting, right? We all have our own perspective. But from a viewpoint of being a mature person, because, you know, I'm raising a 7-year-old daughter right now, and, you know, I can see very clearly at this age, in early development of a human being, the only thing that matters in the moment is how she feels. She's learning how to sort of perceive a bigger picture, and, you know, now I'm asking her, obviously, to do things that she may not feel like doing, like go to school. And this is part of her life. You know, it's something that she needs to attend, whether she feels like it or not. So I was listening to Dennis Prager, who I adore, a couple weeks ago, and he was speaking about a upcoming lecture that he was going to be putting on in a university. I think it was in Wisconsin, if I'm not mistaken. And there was, you know, of course, having a conservative talker come had its pushback from the leftist progressives, professors and student body people coming out and actually writing and accusing him of being a racist and anti-Semitic. But the thing that I want to focus on is a misogynist. And they even actually write an advocate for rape. Let me let that sink in for a second. Now, he, being the person that he is, invited one of these student body seniors to come on his show and said, if you're going to make these accusations and defend these accusations maybe that another person has made, which is what this young gentleman did, I want to have a discourse about where you're getting the evidence to stake your claims on me in a way that I think is completely false. He quoted a article that he had written, that Prager had written, about marriage and about mood and about specifically a scenario where he was quoted as saying, if you love your husband and he's a good man and you have a good marriage, that his recommendation or his suggestion to women would be to have sex with him, even if you're not in the mood every once in a while, that would be an important action to take in certain situations if it was asked of you. And this senior at this university said that would be equated to non-consensual sex and therefore rape, and therefore Prager was an advocate for rape. So I'm not in the mood to go to work a lot of times, but I do it anyway. Is that a non-consensual act on my part? Sometimes, even when it comes to sex with our partner, just like in all aspects of life, there's a lot of times we got to choose to do things out of, in essence, obligation. And so there's just on so many levels that Prager's commentary made sense, was logical, was reasonable, and in my opinion, had absolutely no evidence of an advocacy for rape. And to hear these people in this university use that as the citing for his advocacy, which he then, by the way, at the end of the interview, he then said, well, I guess I can chalk it down to an apologist versus advocate in his know-it-all, condescending, moral high ground platform that he consistently took the entire interview. So I just thought you would find that fascinating, because I thought it was an enormous example of how different two perceptions or two mentalities can be about one specific incident, and how different our perceptions can actually be. This is Tanya Crow with Mama Grizzly Radio.
Tanya Crow on Mama Grizzly Radio. More from the Crow's Nest next week.
Now, the Palin Update with Kevin Scholla presents Liberty and Legacy. Here's Tamara Kolbert.
What really happens when someone new is elected to Congress and arrives in the swamp? I really don't know. Do you? What I do know is that the federal government, unelected bureaucratic swamp monsters, and a completely out-of-control Congress, and I mean that legislatively, intellectually, and otherwise, will never fix itself. Calling an Article 5 Convention of States is the only way to rein in this fraternity run amok. The massive sex abuse scandals breaking from Hollywood to Capitol Hill are a symptom of the greater problem in America. And that is the lack of personal responsibility for one's actions and the inherent power these elitists believe they have. In this day and age of let's give everyone a trophy for showing up, the mentality of everyone is backwards. But most of all, it's backwards in the elite camps of industries such as Congress, Hollywood, the legal profession. Can you imagine? Weinstein must have honestly thought he was untouchable and that he could get away with it. And obviously, with decades of serious abuse and millions in hush money he paid out to victims, he must have been flabbergasted and in disbelief that his abuse and decrepit behavior has actually seen the light of day, unlike his gross fat body. But I digress. The photographic evidence of Senator Al Franken groping the breasts of a sleeping journalist and subsequent photos of his groping View co-host Joy Behar's breasts on what appears to be a red carpet are outrageous. He should immediately step down and take what last shred of dignity he might have, now this would be if he had dignity, and crawl back into the hole he came from. Al, FYI, you were the least funny character ever on Saturday Night Live. So there you go. It's not funny. You are not funny. What I found particularly offensive this week, outside of Gloria Allred's fabricated yearbook signing against Judge Moore, was that Congress has paid out more than $15 million from a hidden sexual harassment slush fund to quiet victims. Are you kidding me? Talk about hypocrites. How can anyone from Congress stand in front of the press and say Judge Roy Moore should resign because we don't need that behavior in Congress? And on the other hand, they've got a multi-million-dollar secret bank that pays out to keep victims silent for their own indiscretions. Does this double standard bother you like it does me? This sounds exactly like Congress forcing Americans to Obamacare and exempting themselves. Instead of Capitol Hill, we should now rename it Hypocrisy Hill, because the elected representatives think they are above the law, and certainly they think they're above you and me. Are we or are we not the people? Congress is spending your money and my money to cover up sexual harassment scandals. Personally, I am calling immediately for transparency. I want to know which members of Congress got bailed out to hide their illicit sexual misconduct on Hypocrisy Hill. If our collective tax dollars paid out $15.2 million since 1997 to literally hundreds of women in awards and settlements for workplace violations, at the very least, we need to post their names, photos, and what they did publicly. This is unacceptable. Where's the class action lawsuit by we the people wanting our money back? This reminds me of the Girls Gone Wild videos that used to come out. The college co-eds going away to college, leaving home, and with a bit of freedom, going crazy. Congress? It's Congress gone wild. That's where we're at. With a heavy influence of money, power, These unelected bureaucrats who took the drain the swamp mantra personally are refusing to relinquish the swamp. They are the swamp. The unelected bureaucrats in particular are helping to hide and protect those who are elected. The unelected scratch the backs of the elected to protect that power, money, and influence while they enjoy the taxpayer dollars footing the bill for a bunch of debauchery and drunken-like behavior on Capitol Hill, drunken with money, drunken with power, drunk with influence. Article 5 in the Convention of States is truly the only way to take the power back from Washington. We must return it to the people in the states. When we take our power back, the money and influence inside the Beltway dry up and the swamp monsters become extinct. You and I should wield that power like a sword. You and I should decide for ourselves. You and I are the reason that our founders included Article 5 in the Constitution, and you can join me at conventionofstates.com. Aside from all of this, as we enter into Thanksgiving week, I am so thankful that my grandfather, Captain Miles Standish, came to America with the Pilgrims. This Thanksgiving, I am thankful that Donald Trump is our president. I am thankful that I live in a nation where the people are the most important and vital piece of fabric that knits the country together. We just need to start acting like it. What are you doing for Thanksgiving? You can tweet me at Tamara Kolbert, hashtag Mama Grizz Radio. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your families. Happy Thanksgiving, Governor Palin. Happy Thanksgiving, Kevin. May you have an attitude of gratitude for all of our blessings in this great nation and be blessed for your perseverance and your passion for America. I'm Tamara Kolbert for Mama Grizzly Radio.
Tamara Kolbert in Texas. Tune in for more Liberty and Legacy next week. And to learn about Convention of States, head to conventionofstates.com. The Palin Update, including Liberty and Legacy and The Crow's Nest, is on demand and available for download. So just head to mamagrizzlyradio.com, pick the show you want to hear, and you can listen anywhere, anytime. Well, that'll just about do it for this edition of the Palin Update on Mama Grizzly Radio. Visit mamagrizzlyradio.com for continuing coverage of Governor Palin. Also available at sarahpalin.com by clicking the More tab. Like Mama Grizzly Radio on Facebook and follow along on Twitter at Mama Grizz Radio, at Kevin Scholla, at Tamara Kolbert, at Tanya Yoga 13, and at FBR ABQ. And I'm doing some writing for Breitbart News. Go to breitbart.com/columnists/Kevin-Scholla. I'm also contributing to sarahpalin.com. Check out my latest piece this week. Visit sarahpalin.com/author/Kevin-Scholla. Honored to be working on the governor's new site. I want to thank Tamara Kolbert, Tanya Crow, and everyone here at Mama Grizzly Radio. Thanks to Kaya Jones, and thank you for listening today. A special thanks to our sponsor, Full Battle Rattle. Visit facebook.com/FullBattleRattleABQ. The Palin Update is produced by Lena Anderson, the Andy L. Kramer, and Lori Ann Lewis. Please be sure to join us again next time for another edition of the Palin Update on Mama Grizzly Radio. I'm Kevin Scholla. Have a pleasant day.